Okay, so I'm back in my office. I'm practically the same colour as my wall. See? Look. See? Look. Can't even see me. It's like I'm a chameleon. Alright, let's get into the tutorial. Hello, welcome back to another Let's Talk Shop newsletter and tutorial. So in today's lesson, one more even ketchup around, you'll find out in a minute. But in today's tutorial, we're going to be working with Sitebulb to talk about custom extraction. Now, for ketchup, someone told me that I couldn't segue from Heinz tomato ketchup to Sitebulb. Well, guess what? I found a way. Heinz ketchup has a speed limit of 0.028 miles an hour, and if it's too fast, the whole batch of ketchup is rejected. And it's exactly the same with Sitebulb. If you crawl a website too fast, specifically one with, say, Cloudflare on it, it's gonna get upset, and it's probably gonna terminate your crawl and block your IP address. See? Segue done. Ketchup out the way. Today's tutorial is all about custom extraction and how you can do some really incredible things using Sitebulb's wizard. So what is custom extraction? Well, it allows you to grab any data you like from the DOM, from the HTML of a website. So that could be breadcrumbs, stock information, pricing, product descriptions, you name it, we'll be taking a look at it. Now, great for your own site. How about your competitors? Even more powerful. So today's tutorial, Let's Talk Shop, is using Sitebulb and custom extraction to do some incredible stuff. I'll see you in a little while. Okay, so here we are. Let's take a look at custom extraction. So first of all, before we get into the real fun part of this episode, let's take a look at what exactly custom extraction is. So in layman's terms, what it basically allows you to do is scrape any of the content from a web page, whether that's titles, pricing, and of course in our instance in the world of e-commerce, stock statuses, everything, product descriptions, we name it. If you can access it, we can absolutely take it. So let's think of a couple of use cases as to why this would be really beneficial. One, let's assume we're RC geeks for a moment, and in sort of larger companies, it's quite difficult to get close to product data because you might not necessarily have the keys to the CMS, you might not have the database of products, or sometimes it's just easier to just go and get that information yourself. So it allows you to really understand and crawl the entire site and get a complete perspective on what products you have, what they're called, what stock they're at, what the price is, lots of really cool granular information to really help you to understand. Then, the additional power comes in when you start to blend that data with things like Google Analytics or Google Search Console to really get a feel for what's going on. So you might be in a situation where items that have no product descriptions, for example, aren't performing organically or converting as well as items that do have product descriptions in. And that way, because you've crawled every product on the site, you can see patterns, you can identify trends and see if that's really an opportunity to invest some resource and time into creating product descriptions. Now, let's assume we have a competitor and you want to understand what the hell they are up to. So what we can also do, it doesn't have to be your own site, it can be any site that's publicly accessible on the internet really, is crawl their information, so crawl their prices, their products, their category structures, breadcrumbs, you name it. As I said, if you want it, we can get access to it. And that can give you some really powerful competitive insight. It can start to allow you to understand if items aren't in stock in a wide number of competitors, then maybe you can increase your prices. Or maybe you're too cheap and you could be more expensive, or vice versa. But this gives you real granular detail at scale, whether it's your own site or your competitor's site. So let's walk through and see how exactly you can do that in Sitebulb. And the reason why I really like Sitebulb actually is because it's really quite easy. Because custom extraction, I guess content search can sound a little bit intimidating if you're not technical. And I'm not going to try and pretend I'm the most technical person in the world, I'm not, but they have a really cool wizard which makes it really easy to get it set up. So I'm halfway through kind of setting up a crawl at the moment. I'm just going to kind of walk you through. So as you can see, we have two things set up here. We've got 5 different content extraction set up and 1 content search set up already. So let me just expand these and delete these. And then what I'll do is I'll walk you through these one by one so we can get them sorted. So let's say first we want to grab the product title from our website. So of course, punch in your example URL. Actually, I'm going to pick a specific product because we want data from a product page. So let's grab this URL here, switch back over to Sitebulb. If you throw that URL in here, hit go, what you'll get then is a preview window with the web page in there. And this is where it really gets quite powerful. So rule name, what is it you want to call it in terms of the data that you extract? So in this, we'll just call it product title. Now, CSS selector, this is where and how Sitebulb can tag and pull on the data that you want to grab out of the website. So in this particular case, of course, we're interested in the product title. So if we go to the website in Chrome or whatever browser you want to use, go to inspect, and you can see here it's the class or the ID, the CSS class or CSS ID we're after. So if I click on this, you can see it's highlighted here as a title, and the class we actually want is product title. And this is where Sitebulb really comes into its element. So before you actually commit anything, it allows you to validate and test that it's got the right thing, which saves a load of time, a lot of headache, and a lot of grief. So let's show you how that works in action. So if I throw that in here, and just to look at it another way as well, actually, you can see here you've got in HTML the CSS class, but what we want it is in almost like a CSS format. So you can see here you've got product title and then product title here. It's pretty much exactly the same. The only difference is it's prepended with a full stop, and that just allows Sitebulb to understand to target the right class in CSS. So if all I'm going to do, throw a full stop at the beginning of that, and you can see now when I scroll up, Sitebulb has highlighted this, and that's exactly what we want. The product title is what we want to extract. Then you have a couple of options as to how you want to extract that data. You can extract just the text, which is what we want in this case, the inner HTML, outer HTML attribute, or regex if that's there. So we're just going to keep it as text for now, because that's what we need, the text of the item. And then looking at some more options here. So in the data tab, there could be a situation where you have more than one bit of data that matches that CSS class that you've got here, or selector. In this case, because there's only one product title on the page, that's not going to be a problem for us. But it could be a thing, so you can choose whether you want to select the first matched item, the first 5. You've got a number of options here, all of them, accounts, check if it exists. There are lots of different rules here. But for us, because there's only one title, then we just want to select the first match item. Then of course, type of data it is, whether it's text, number, email address, URL, all kinds of good stuff here. So as you can see, there's loads and loads of scope for how you can kind of pull and extract this information. Now, if we jump over to URLs, this is just basically whether it matches a certain path or not, and whether it's part of the URL, so we don't need to look at that in any particular way. And then test, this is exactly the data that we want to see. This is what we need. So this is just almost a real example. So if I go back to the rule and I remove that dot, you can see the test is X to indicate that it's not working and it didn't return any data. So it always allows you to test and make sure that the rule is properly done before you go and spend the time crawling the entire site or a section of the site. So this is how we've got the title. So if I hit add rule, and let's just add some more. So we've got the title now. Let's also grab the price. So to do that, exactly the same process, inspect, and you can see here we have a class of money and a class of price amount. Both of these will work, but in my opinion, I'd always get the most specific CSS selector you can. So in this case, money. So if I grab this one here, and I'll switch back to Sitebulb, where are you? There we go. Rule name, call it price. Remember the full stop at the beginning. And you can see there, it's now grabbed the price. And then again, text in a HTML, outer HTML, we don't really need anything, we just want the actual price, so let's just grab that as text. And there we go, and we just constantly keep doing this until we've got all of the extraction points set up that we want to grab. So if we go to data, again, you can see there's 2 prices here, I suppose, if we think about it. So let's go to test and see what it comes up with. We've got £116, which is the price that we want, but we can also change to have all matched items, in which case we've got 4 of them, and I imagine it's because they're listed somewhere else on the page. There we go. they're listed in this pull-out navigation as well. So for us, we might want both the selling price, the sale price, sorry, and the original price. But I think to keep things simple, let's just grab the first matched item for now, which will give us the price that it's selling for at the moment, £116, as we can see here. So add rule, we've now got our price. Let's add another rule, because we want to make sure that all of our products are in the right categories. So what we can do here is pinch the breadcrumb and make sure that the breadcrumb path, first of all, is there for every product, and second of all, that it's actually using the right one and it's in the right category. So if I go back into the code again, and we just wait, we just scroll and scroll until we find what we need is highlighted like this. And then you can see we've got nav, class, breadcrumbs, hidden excess. The hidden excess we don't need. What we are looking for is just breadcrumbs in this case. So you can grab that from here, or grab it from here, whichever you need to do. Swing back to Sitebulb, and let's save this one first. Hold on. So let's call this one breadcrumb. So we copy and paste the CSS selector path in there. I can never say that word properly. In a HTML. So in this case, if we use just text, there's things that happen a little bit weird here. So you can see in the breadcrumb itself, we have these almost like chevrons, which help to break up the breadcrumb itself. Well, of course, in the extraction itself, we don't have that information. So what we are probably going to do here to make that easier is grab in a HTML instead. And that way, we have everything there, and we can find, replace, we can convert and tidy that up at a later stage. But that gives us everything we need. Also, what it means is it gives us the URLs as well. So if anything's broken or if anything looks amiss, we have both the text and the URLs that are responsible to make up that particular breadcrumb. So win-win. Let's add that rule. Okay, so what else can we grab from this? We've got price, we've got breadcrumb, we've got title. Now this is where personally I think custom extraction really comes into its own. Description. Because this way you can pull every single description that you have on the site, make sure it's still accurate, make sure it's long enough, and then as we said earlier, if you bolt in your Google Analytics data on top of that and your Search Console data, you can really start to identify patterns, whether longer descriptions work better, whether descriptions with H1s at the top of them seem to perform better. Whatever that test is you're doing, you can do that at huge amounts of scale because, of course, using custom extraction. So it's exactly the same process here. Inspect. And then here, we're just kind of highlighting until we get what we need at the slimmest level. So this will get that information, but of course we want to use the deepest or closest HTML element that we can. So in this case, we're looking for this. We've got product description here, and we can either grab it from here, product description, or grab it from here. So let's just take it from here for a change. Product description, let's grab that. Swing over back to Sitebulb again, add another rule, and then rule name, what are we grabbing here? Description, CSS selector path, product description, and text. So again, if we go to test, perfect. We can see everything that we have here. But now, I would actually say that the best way to extract this information is to use HTML, because we have everything. We have the internal links, we have what's H1 or H2, what's bullet points, what's plain text. If there's any malformed issues in the HTML, things are broken, we have all of that information here. So grabbing it as HTML in this case is pretty cool. Or what you could do is potentially do both, right? You grab custom extraction as plain, which is easy enough to read and can be digested just by scanning through, and then a second one which is also which is HTML, which if you need to dive deeper into that information, you have it to hand. Okay, so let's add that rule here as HTML, and I think we have everything we need. Bear me a second, let me just double check. So we've got description, Do we have stock? No. Really, really important. Let's grab the stock information. So again, scroll up on the page. We know what we need. Stock information. Let's move this out of the way so we can see what we're doing. There we go. So here, you can see that the class I'm interested in is this one, stock info. So let me just copy that. Go back again to Sitebulb overall. You can see where I'm going with this, right? Once you've kind of got used to it, it's quite repetitive, but equally it's a lot easier to do as well. And once you've done it a few times. So rule, stock, level, and then we go to test, in stock, perfect. So add rule, and now we have all the elements here. So what we are able to do now is crawl the entire site, although I'm going to crawl a small sample of the site at the moment, but crawl the entire site, and for every single product page that comes through, I'm going to get the title, the price, the breadcrumb for that item, the full description for that item, and whether that item is in stock or not. How amazing is that? And then there's one last thing that I want to show you, which is content search. Now, content search is a little bit different. Custom extraction is you specify the data that you're looking to extract. Well, custom search is kind of, again, what it says on the tin, which is just, can you find this string of text or this piece of information anywhere on the page? Now, I found something really interesting here because I added a content search rule for a UA code, just at Google Analytics. And the reason why this could be really powerful is it can allow you to understand whether GA or GTM or whatever it is you're using is on every single page of the site. Particularly important if you've done a rollout of a new page template or migrated to a new website. Hugely important task that needs to be done and can be done automated and at scale with a really easy content search. But what I found here, just to show you what I've done, so added in the UA, ignore the case, and I wanted to specify just in the head itself, which is where UA code or a GTM code should always reside. Of course, you have the one in the body as well, which of course doesn't go in the head. And I wanted to search both the HTML and the text. But what was really interesting here is, and I'll show you in a moment, when I completed this sample crawl, I found it 3 times. So the UA code was there 3 times in the head for all the pages that I tested. Crazy, right? Because then you have a potential issue of double tracking, false bounce rates, all kind of crazy stuff going on. But this is how powerful and how easy custom extraction and content search can be. So I'm not going to hit start now on this because I cooked one of these up earlier. Of course I did, I'm organised as always. But not really. And let's have a look at this. So RC Geeks. And there's a crawl that I've done earlier. So 1109, let's take a look at this one. So once you've ran your custom extraction and your audits, once you've ran your crawl, once you've configured your custom extraction, you'll see 2 tabs here, which of course have been added. It's custom extraction. And if I go to overview, you can see all of the configuration that you've had set, and then URLs will show you the respective URL and the data it's found. So you can see all the products that I've crawled, the product titles, the descriptions for all of them, just a snippet of that, but it's all there. The breadcrumb in HTML, the stock status, and the price. So this is like really, really cool ways. You know, you could export this then, wrap it in, stick it into Excel, into Google Sheets, whatever your favorite flavor of data tool is, and really start to understand how well or how poorly things are performing. Are they in the right place, right category? Do they have a description, etc., etc., etc. So if we take a look at content search, and we go to URLs, take a look at this. So from the home page, this is telling me that this particular string of information has been found 3 times. Now I'm not going to take a look any further than that because it's kind of outside the scope of this particular tutorial, but you know, that for me is a red flag. That for me says that there's potential double tracking going on here, which is crazy. But this is great. If this was a new site we just launched, or if we just did a huge rollout, fix it straight away, problem solved, write a ticket, Dev's your best friend, you get a promotion, go on holiday to Barbados once lockdown is over, and everyone's happy. So yes, that is custom extraction and content search in Sitebulb. And with that wizard, it makes it really, really easy for people like me. It makes you look like an absolute badass even if you know absolutely nothing about SEO. So yeah, that's this tutorial done. So what I'll let you do now is read the rest of the newsletter and do what you've got to do. And yeah, any questions, let me know. Thank you very much for joining me on this one. Take care.